Hello and welcome back to the Brown Butter Sage channel where I discuss culture, cuisine, the arts, and more. There is a lot going on in the world, y'all. And lately it's been overwhelming for me, I'm not gonna lie. But what I've been using as a coping mechanism is binging new film and television. And luckily for me, the highly anticipated new Marvel series Ironheart premiered today on Disney Plus. And I'm gonna explain why I think you should watch it. Now, Ironheart, aka Riri Williams, is a superhero who appears in Marvel Comics, and her character first appeared around, I want to say 2016. Dominique Thorne is the actress who portrays Ironheart, and she does so first in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. She appeared in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in 2022, and now she is starring in this series, Ironheart, which again is on Disney Plus right now. Now, the Ironheart series picks up about 6 months after the end of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is the most recent film of the Black Panther series. And in that particular film, she works alongside Princess Shuri to help the nation of Wakanda defend itself. Now, I watched Ironheart's first 3 episodes, like I say, and I found it to be like really charming and compelling. It's a bit of a slow burner, but like you're intrigued, by the world of Riri right up front. And then by the end, especially the end of episode 3, you're fully invested in what's happening and what's going to come next. And there's not going to be any spoilers, in the reasons why you should watch. So you guys can totally listen to this, and I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but it really does build up to a really lovely, moment at the very, very end of the 3rd episode, to where you absolutely want to see what's going to come next. So there's a huge payoff. Like I said, it's a slow burner, and it's good. Like when stories like this, kind of start with a good pace and just kind of allow you to sit with certain characters and kind of watch them grow. I think that's for the best. But those are my thoughts, just on the background of the story itself and the character. And now I want to get into 5 reasons why I think that you should watch and support this series. Now, the first reason is, of course, the story itself, because that is why we watch. That's why we tune in to good projects, is because of the story. Now, this particular story features, again, Riri Williams, Ironheart. She is a tech prodigy who has a gift for engineering starting from a very, very young age. Riri goes to live with her mother in Chicago, and she does experience a lot of personal and painful loss in her life, and she uses the grief as like a motivation for building an iron suit, just like the superhero that she admires like greatly for doing so first, Tony Stark. Tony Stark, of course, is another fictional character in the Marvel universe. He's a genius, a billionaire, philanthropist, and of course, a superhero. Now, much like Tony, she uses her power suit to protect people, though it doesn't quite start off that way in the series. And in fact, like one of the themes seems to be kind of a bit of exploration of the responsibility of having power, having a great amount of power. So it's really kind of, you see a little bit of the struggle in the first 3 episodes. And I think towards the latter 3, we'll probably get a little bit more of that. It just feels like that's where it's going. The story is also just a really lovely blend of, technology and mysticism, which it really is not a common concoction, to be honest. And I was surprised by how much I really liked it, but I think that's because it's tastefully executed in this series. Like, it's not forced on you. It feels really natural for the world that we're all in. Also, I thought what was really well executed are like the visuals and the action sequences, like the heist sequences specifically. Those are really, really well done. And you really do feel like you're in, a Marvel film, like you're in that world. But this world does have its own unique pace and its own unique style. And I just really appreciated that about it. I just really thought that, this was really kind of slowly building, a bit of an experience, like, again, close to what you would expect from Marvel, but really truly with a spin on it that is kind of all its own for this particular character in this world. And when I watch a slow burner, because I said these first 3 episodes are kind of slow burning, I'm really kind of digging into the character. And maybe that's perhaps why this is a series and not, one of the reasons why it's a series and not a film is because you want kind of the episodic feel to kind of growing and expounding upon a character and their discovery and their development. And I just think that this particular kind of medium is probably perfect for this. And so if people are kind of patient enough with the story and kind of, just invest in the world itself, then they'll see kind of the buildup. And then again, there's just an amazing payoff. And again, for me, right from up front, I was invested in the world. I bought it and, I was hooked throughout the whole thing, wanting to just know what was going to happen with these characters. And there's nothing about the relationships that we see that are also really, really cool. They felt very natural. And again, nothing seems forced. Things seem very fresh, and as well as the characters themselves. No one's trying to be something other than who they are. These are people, and they have these kind of rich relationships and these interesting conversations with one another, but nothing is too overdone. Like I said, it's very tasteful. So story, really big one. And like I said, the first 3 episodes really do deliver that in small bites up front. And then you kind of get to the meaty part towards the end of the 3rd episode. And it kind of leads me a little bit into the second reason why I think it's important to support this project is because these stories are really important for us to see, to hear, and to normalize. We need to normalize more Black people and more Black women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And there are multiple ways to do this, but the arts is a really great way. It's a great entryway to show kids, what's possible for them in this field of discovery and innovation. A few weeks ago, Spelman College actually collaborated with Black Women Film Network to host a fireside chat with Deanna Knoll, Angela Barnes, and Dominique Thorne, who are the editor, director, and star of Ironheart, respectively. They spoke about the importance of telling these stories in front of and behind the camera. Deanna Knoll, she talked about how it was an incredible experience, just working at Marvel, that it was really dope. And then Knoll and Barnes both, they share the difficulties, in getting hired in mainstream entertainment as Black women, because that is still a thing. And they said they're now working pretty well and they're getting other projects thanks to this particular story. And so that's really, really important. It's important for, inclusive, creative teams to get their shot and to really be in the room where it happens, because honestly, and I shouldn't have to say this, but when you're telling a story about a Black woman, especially one that covers, grief and social responsibility and finding one's own power, it's essential to have Black women a part of the, the creation of that story, right? And shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to keep saying it until it sticks. And that just ties back into, again, the importance of, us being in the room where it happens. And then it directly kind of translates as, legitimate and genuine for the audiences that are going to soak this up, that are going to see it, and they're going to see themselves in these stories, and that imagination will blend into real life. And then you'll have people who will be seeking opportunities in these fields because of what they believe is possible. And that really is one of the true powers of storytelling, period. So it's just really important to always support work like this. Not just because it's good and not just because it's for us, but because it's also by us. FUBU. If you know, you know. Now, of course, Ryan Coogler was a part of this process. He served as one of the executive producers for Ironheart, and he did share some thoughts on the significance of Riri's character and how it kind of all came into being in this particular series.
I like to take things one step at a time. And with Wakanda Forever, we were looking for a character who could be a foil to Shuri, someone who could represent Shuri's transition between 2 films. In the first Black Panther, she was the youngest person in the film. And this one, she had grown a little bit older, so we wanted somebody who she could mentor, who she could look after and be almost like a big sister to, and also a character who could deliver on the promise of that first Panther. somebody who could represent the types of people that T'Challa and Killmonger were advocating for, protecting, that lived outside of Wakanda. So Riri became an example of that for us. And then as we got into making the show, we were approached by Zoe Nailhawk and Brad Winterbaum with interest in making a television show around the character. So we were down the road, and then that opportunity came up. We were really excited about it. It was obviously complicated. We wanted to make sure that we were leaving enough room while establishing, who Riri was.
Now, Ryan talking about the significance of Riri's character leads me to one of the other reasons to support this project is because it's getting so much hate from the typical haters who do not like seeing diverse leads in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the film has been attacked for being too woke. I mean, the moment that the trailer dropped, a lot of, MCU quote unquote fans, they dislike bombed it, and they attacked it for being too quote unquote woke. Some even said that there was no market for these films to be presented, and this, even a whole month before the series premiered, there were dozens of reviews just like these, okay, with the same disposition, the one I'm talking about, trashing the series, coming from the same type of viewer. And this is ridiculous. Okay, because this is before the series was seen by any audience anywhere. If you want to trash the trailer, do that. But people were writing, obituaries for the series before it even premiered. A whole month before it even premiered. And this is just is ridiculous. We've seen it far too many times. Luckily, the reviews have been better. The reviews have been pretty good. There are a lot of people who are genuinely surprised by how much, they are actually enjoying it. And it almost seems like, some of the low expectations that were set by some of these haters are actually going to lay a foundation for the series, I think, to soar. And more viewers have commented, that they really actually do want to see where the story is going to go next and what the last 3 episodes are going to look like. Even some film critics who've seen all 6 of the episodes, they say that the first half is good, but that the latter half is really excellent. And I don't know, I can't wait to see it. And people should have no problem supporting then, a series like this, because if we really do want to see more diverse experiences, within our community, then these are those opportunities, because you really do want to get behind them, especially because there's so many people that, really want to come at projects like these and make sure that they fail. They have an investment in seeing that they fail and in judging them, and writing them off as DEI, flicks. It is just so ridiculous. But, this is the world that we live in. This is the country that we live in. But still, we soar above all of that. And honestly, when it comes to, an endorsement of a film or a series called Ironheart, there's really only one person that we should be listening to, and he already gave his full endorsement.
Good morning, America. The new studio, God, looks great. Miss Thorne, I couldn't be happier than to be seeing you bring Riri Williams to life. But the hood has me nervous. Is the hood green? Please tell me Mr. Ramos is not replacing me as Dr. Doom via Parker Robbins. Is there something you're not telling me? Anyway, I don't want to step on your interview. Long story short, Iron Man loves Ironheart.
That's so crazy. Dominic, how's that make you feel? They're one of the original Avengers saying that.
Loves Iron Man too. Oh man. Yeah, he has been so supportive. It's really been amazing, because I do come from a family that loves the MCU. My baby brother was born just a few months before Iron Man came out, and so it's been a family affair ever since then. And so we have pictures of my baby brother being Iron Man and me being Iron Girl for Halloween. This goes so deep. It goes so deep. And so shortly after we finished filming in Chicago is when I got the first phone call from him, and he has been so sweet, through and through. So the support, it means so much. It really does.
You gotta love Robert for doing that, and just showing her so much support. And I hope that she feels, Dominique feels a lot of support, entering into this world and this series and taking this on. And, there are a lot of people who think that, that Ironheart and is people were saying before that it's like a ripoff of Iron Man. And, while these two obviously, are similar in the fact that they're both flying around in these iron powered suits, they both have very different stories. And obviously, Riri is very, very inspired by Tony Stark, clearly. But her story is very different, and it's uniquely her own, and she has her own motivations and her own flaws and her own strengths that are very different from Tony Stark, which is why, this is an important story to tell, I think, within the universe, and why people need to pay attention to it. And it's not a ripoff of anything. It's its own being and beast that is, kind of an evolution of sorts, and it's just, again, naturally inspired by previous stories, which, I don't know, is kind of how this whole universe works anyway. So people really need to just kind of lay off of the hate bombing, but I know a lot of people are not going to. So we need to show up, and we need to support, again, the type of projects that we want to see and more diverse storytelling within our community. Now, the fourth reason why I think that you should watch this film is a little biased on my end, I guess. It's because the story is set in my hometown of Chicago. A lot of the scenes are shot there, and if you grew up in Chicago, when you look at some of the backgrounds, like, the lake, the walk on the lake, or, the trains, or just some of the buildings, like the apartment building where she lives, all of that, it really just takes you right back home. And honestly, watching this series made me a little homesick. But Chicago's such a beautiful city, and it's really perfect for this type of story, because it's really a great balance of, I don't know, stubborn ambition and just unyielding passion. And I honestly think that is kind of that is the balance in Riri's character. She's flawed, so she is stubborn, and she has a mission that she wants to achieve. But at the same time, there's such a compassionate soul that's within her, and that's what really kind of keeps you really invested in who she is and where she's going and how she is going to kind of grow, within the context of this conflict. And so Chicago's just a great backdrop for that, because there's so much going on, even just architecturally, that visually, when you're putting that as the backdrop, up against this type of story, I think it really supports it well. And I'm not alone in thinking that, because obviously the creators of this project, they felt the same. But here's what some of them had to say about shooting in the city that I know and love, Chicago.
It was paramount that we shoot practically as much as possible in Chicago on location.
Thanos was just the beginning!
Chicago's a vibe. You can feel the history in the neighborhoods and the architecture.
You can't fake it. The style, the culture, the smell, the wind.
The real Chicago pizza, thin crust, cut in squares is very important.
It's so cool getting to bring Chicago to Marvel, the real deal.
We brought in a lot of people who understand the energy and the soul of that city, both in front of and behind the camera.
From cast members to directors, writer.
Hair, makeup teams from Chicago. There's sneaker game galore. If you were just watching people's feet in this show, oh snap. They look fun and they look cool.
Chicago is home. Always has been.
Yes, Chicago will always be home. And shout out to anybody who understands that real Chicago pizza is tavern style, thin crust, okay, square cut. That's where it's at. Yes, we do deep dish, but only on special occasion. It's really for the tourists. Y'all can visit the city, but you do not get to dictate the type of pizza that we eat. All right? Okay, in rent. Okay, and the last reason why I think that this particular series is special and it is one to watch is because we're living in a time right now where people are really kind of, waking up to serious concerns about ethics, in technology, how it's used, and, and the power of that. AI is on everyone's minds right now. It is really, driving people crazy. It's causing people to lose their jobs. You have people like Timberland out here who has created an entire AI artist. Okay. It's getting a little crazy. And we we're probably not going to see regulation around AI for a long time. Or if we do, I don't trust that it's going to be helpful. You just have a lot of industries that are impacted. And so it's really frustrating and I think scary for a lot of people. And so to kind of have a piece like this that, again, I believe, lightly explored and maybe we'll continue to explore in the next 3 episodes, just this idea, again, around ethics and what line is too far, I think is at least a good place to start a conversation from. So this is a really timely project, I think. And the fact that you're putting this, this story is told kind of from a certain lens of, a younger generation. I think that, making sure that, they're a part of that conversation that when we're talking about, responsibility in how we tell our stories, responsibility in, how we kind of show up, how we use technology, not letting it use us, how we are responsible for that, not just for today, but in thinking ahead for our future to make sure that we're kind of laying the groundwork to continue to have, good morals that, where we can use the technology to aid us, but that it doesn't replace humanity, and that's kind of a larger conversation that this series kind of circles around in a bit. It's not kind of like a main theme, but I do think that the undercurrents of it are there. And so it's a great kind of conversation piece. And so it's very timely. This is very, very timely. And I don't know, I think it could spark some really good conversations. I'm all about the conversation. So that said, I really hope that you'll watch this series and you'll come back and you'll tell me how you liked it. If I'm really blown away by the last 3 episodes, which I think I might be, then I might do a full review and follow up, and talk more about the story and the characters and all that good stuff. And so, but regardless, I hope you guys will watch it. Like I said, it's on Disney Plus, the first 3 episodes, and then the second 3 episodes are going to be posted on July 1st. So, go out there and support this one. It's a good one. It's a really, really good watch. And I was happy to see it and happy to support it myself, And so, yeah. That is my recap, and that's my encouragement for you to watch these 3 episodes. And thanks for stopping by. You always have a good time. And yeah, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until we meet again, of course, get yourself some good grub and take good care. Bye.